Good to be back on the screen. So I was for a while I've been thinking about Africa's architecture. I don't know whether you know that houses that are built with clay are cooler. I don't know whether you lived in a mud house when you visited a mud house at some point in your life, because I did. I lived in the mud house for a while, and I visited from time to time. It's always cooler. That was the indigenous African science of building homes that were comfortable. So recently I visited a friend, and I noticed that his house was very cool. And I was wondering, this is the same Lagos. How come with this heat outside, you come in, there are no AC on, there are no fan on, and your house is this cool? And that's when he said that, David, my house is built with both clay and cement. As a matter of fact, one of his concerns was that he lived in a mud house at some point in his life, and he knew that mud houses are cooler. So he intentionally, with the designers, with the engineers, made sure that the house were not standing on blocks alone. People who introduced us to this way of building houses, their climates are cool and cold. I know that there are other parts of Africa that has similar weather to the weather outside of the continent. But we have to build infrastructure that fits our climate. Ghana is hot, for example. Senegal is hot. Mali is hot. Nigeria is hot. Are our architects thinking about the ventilation, for example? How do we position the windows and make sure that breeze are always coming in? Or we're just building houses because we saw them on magazine, or we saw them on Pinterest, or we saw them online, and we love how the roof were. People who build houses outside the continent, in the various parts of the world, they build to fit whatever climate, they build to fit the environment. We are copying and pasting and not thinking about our environment. If you move around Nigeria and you move around Lagos, for example, where I am, right, there's a pandemic of heat. And it's because of how our architecture is designed. We need to go back to the old way. I'm not saying that the old way were completely correct. We need to go and improve on what we have. If there's a shortcoming that me and you, we know that we have as a continent, is that we move from what we have to something different. We don't think about how do we improve what we have? How do we improve our science? How do we look at what our forefathers did and improve on it? We are big on moving to trending things. Now, if you look at houses that are built in this recent time, they all now have one shape. And if I ask, what is the philosophy behind it? What was the research behind it? Does it make the house cooler, or does it make the house firmer on the ground? If there's wind, it will stand it. What is the reason why we're all building our houses and we're not showing the roof anymore? You know, there was a time that we were building houses, even my father did that as well, that the roofs has to have the cathedral feel, has to go up. Was that informed by research, or we saw it somewhere and we copied it? Africans will need to design the things that work for us. We need to improve on the things that we have met before. And that's why I'm saying that if you are building houses, maybe you should follow the way my friend built his house. I can't mention his name because I don't know whether he would want me to mention his name in this video. It's cooler when you enter his house because clay that will say, oh, it's not fancy to live in mud houses. Well, it is the one that is driving heat. Our people knew, our forefathers knew what they were doing. They knew, they experimented. We are now a generation of copy and paste. ChatGPT is here. I use it. I use AI. So I will not be here and say, oh, I don't use it. But I know that a lot of us that use it is just copy and paste or using it as Google. It's not enhancing. It's where people hide behind. I don't want to see it. So this is a call for Africa's architecture. Design houses that it's inspired by where you live. For example, Ethiopia is cold, in my opinion. I remember my Ethiopian friend when he came to Ghana, she was complaining about how hot Ghana was, and she was wondering why I'm not complaining. I said our temperature is the same. A little different. Rwanda is chilled, cold, in my opinion. So when they build their houses, they build it in such a way that it's able to max or reduce the cold. People who have never been to Rwanda, many of the hotels, they don't even own their ACs. Some motels and smaller hotels don't even have ACs. And when you get there, you'll be angry at the first instant. But when you live there, you realize that you don't need to own it because it's always cold, surrounded by mountains. So, back to architecture. Design what makes your people better. We must tell stories. We must build things from a place of dignity and functionality. Not building because it is trendy and it does not originate from us. It originates from somewhere else. That they thought about it, they were quality control, they were scientific research that backed it. Build for Africa and for Africa.